So, welcome again to Wise Women Weekdays for those of you that are watching this channel. And I've got an amazing guest today. It's a really good subject. And if you like who I talk to and what we talk about, please do give us a thumbs up and comment. More importantly, comment and maybe subscribe to the channel. So, who I have with me today, all the way over in Canada, Prince Edward Island, is a lovely lady called Megan McDonald. Hello, Megan. How are you?
Hi, Karen. Great to be here. Thank you.
Oh, it's great to have you. And we are going to, as I just said to you at the beginning, my little chit chats. It's always a chit chat rather than an interview, and we're chit chatting about something quite, I think, unusual. Is that a term you would say to describe what we're going to be talking
A-
about?
Absolutely. This is not a conversation that most people have on a daily basis. I do, but
Of
I have
course.
been talking about it for a long time now. I expect
Okay.
people to be surprised. I definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean the word that I love how it's called is Shivambu. Is that correct? Shivambu.
Yes, Shivambu.
And
Yeah.
Shivambu, which I really like because it makes it sound kind of exotic and mystical and interesting rather than urine therapy, I guess. Because it is a form,
Absolutely.
it's a therapy, isn't it? Using your urine and
Yes.
consuming, drinking the urine, not just putting it on a topical base, not just on the
Both
skin.
are both are fine. Both are part of it. There's
Yeah,
external and internal application,
cool.
and anything is part of it.
Well, take it away. Firstly, Megan, tell me how you got into it. I mean, that's what I think is really interesting because quite often people find a therapy, whatever it may be, because there's been a crisis in their life. So I don't know if that has applied to you. We've never met before. I just saw you talking to somebody. I thought this is really interesting because I must say, at the outset, I have tried it topically many years ago. I tried it for eczema, and it didn't work. But I think I gave up probably after a few days. I didn't have the confidence
Yeah.
or the guts or the courage or whatever to keep going. So yeah, how did you get into it, and what does it all what's it all about?
Right. So, terms for people. I love that you brought up the terms right off the top. So, I'll just start with that. We said urine therapy. So, it is a therapy. And Shivambu is the Sanskrit word. There's other words that are used. Some people call it plasma because it's your filtered blood plasma. That's what your kidneys do. They filter blood plasma. That's why it's not a waste product. It's not icky and disgusting because it's your blood. It comes directly from your blood. We can talk about more about that later. Another word is urine that people use instead of urine because urine in English has such a negative connotation, and urine is a little softer. There's amaroli, which is another word that comes out of India, which is a very pretty word. And then there are words in other languages. Of course, almost all indigenous groups around the world use urine for something and are aware of it, but they don't jump up and down about it because it's normal. So they're not trying to tell everybody all the time. And then Shivambu. So Shivambu comes to us from ancient texts from India that were, it's estimated they're about 5,000 years old. Exact dating, we don't know, but they're old. These are not new texts. And Shivambu comes, it's two words together. So Shiva and Ambu. And Shiva is Lord Shiva, one of the tripartite gods. So the same as in Christianity, we have the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. In the Hindu tradition and beyond, other traditions also have Lord Shiva. There's three gods that form a triad, and Shiva is the third. So there's the creator, the sustainer, and the destroyer, and Shiva's the destroyer. And this isn't in a bad way. Even just think of your breath. As you inhale, you create. There's a sustaining of life while you have breath in you. And then when you exhale, you are destroying anything that you let go of. So think of it that way when I say creator, sustainer, destroyer. Um, but Shiva is also the god of consciousness, awareness, and auspiciousness. And when we take those concepts and put it then with Ambu, which is water, so you have Shiva and Ambu, which turns into water of divine consciousness, water of divine God awareness, water of divinely inspired God auspiciousness. Take it as you will, but it's a very big title with a lot of weight, and it brings so much to the description of urine. And when we think about the fact that human ancestors on this planet, 5,000 years ago, with time on their hands and no internet, decided that of all the things in the body that they could put the name of God on, they were going to put it on urine. They didn't put it on blood. They didn't put it on the brain or your eyes or anything else. It went on urine. They had to have a reason. And to take the God of consciousness and call urine water of consciousness is very interesting, especially when we think about the fact that in the womb, every baby is swimming in its own urine as part of the amniotic fluid. It's not all the amniotic fluid, but it builds up to a huge amount of amniotic fluid. And when we are in the womb, is also when our consciousness enters our body. So, however we understand the soul and consciousness, different traditions think it starts as soon as conception happens. Other traditions think it happens at the 4th month, the 7th month, or not until you're born. But there is an element of consciousness that is involved in being in the womb. And this liquid that we start peeing about week 8 in the womb is also called the liquid of the water of consciousness. So there's a whole thing I could go on about in there. I find it super fascinating. But if we then take that, so this is how I was introduced to it. I was introduced to Shivambu through the yoga philosophy tradition, because I was doing yoga teacher training in Vancouver in 2013, and my teacher, Shakti Mai, had been doing urine therapy for 30 years. And she was a walking advertisement for how good it was. Her skin was, she was 52 years old at the time. Her skin was beautiful. Her hair was stunning. Her energy was amazing. Now, she also had been doing yoga for 30 years and meditating for 30 years. It's not that this was the only thing she'd done, but she gave a lot of credit to urine practice as part of how healthy she was, how vital she was. And one of the examples that she gave was that she had that year gone to a women's clinic in Vancouver, and she went because her other female friend said, you have to go to this clinic. You're 52. You should get tests done. So she went, and they did all this testing. And then they came to her and they said, we'd like to run the tests again. We think the results are wrong. She said, fine. She also told them they had to pay for it the second time. She wasn't paying twice. And then they came back with the results and they said, okay, we got the same results again. What are you not telling us? And she said, do you have an open mind? Okay, they said. And she said, I've been drinking my urine for 30 years. And the doctor at the women's clinic, the female doctor at the women's clinic, immediately made the connection and said, oh, you've been doing hormone replacement therapy on yourself. Now it makes sense. So you can imagine what the results were saying. She wasn't deficient in things they were looking for. Her hormones were probably at a different level than other people's were. And the fact that the doctor immediately made that connection and said, if that's what you were doing, you were replacing your own hormones. And one of the biggest issues with hormone replacement therapy is getting something that's bioavailable and bioidentical for someone so that it's going to be absorbed properly into the system. Well, if you're drinking your own urine and you're getting your own hormones, you created them. So you're not going to have an adverse effect from getting your own hormones from your own body. So that was one of the most compelling reasons I saw, because when I first heard about this, I was 35 years old, and I had seen nothing but bad stories in the media and in pop culture everywhere about menopause, right? Bad. And here was my teacher at 52 going, I have no symptoms. I have no issues. My body is ticking along beautifully. And even when I went to a women's clinic, they told me that my body was in great shape and my hormones were even and, very unusual for someone of my age and stage. So that sounded fabulous to me. And the other thing that she recommended at that point was for people who wanted to start to try putting a few drops on the back of one hand every day for 3 days. Every time you pee, just catch a few drops. You don't have to do anything crazy, and rub it at the back of your hand. Just because the hand is accessible, it's easy to just rub it there. You can rub it on your leg or your neck, whatever you want, but one side of the body and not the other, so that after 3 days you can compare. I did that. I had very dry skin. I've always had dry skin, dry, sensitive, Celtic skin. That's what I've got. And it was also winter. It was January, February. And so my skin is extra dry in the winter. And I did that for 3 days. And after 3 days, the back of my left hand was moisturized, supple, soft. It was very happy. The back of my right hand was still scaly and dry and looked sort of, dusty white from dry skin, that look that you get. And it was obvious that my body liked it. that I had had no bad reaction to it. I didn't smell funny because the ammonia does not break down when you rub it in your skin. So you don't smell like pee. Don't worry about that, anyone. It's not what's going to happen. Now that just changed it for me right away. I went, wait a minute. I have free moisturizer in my body at all times that my skin actually likes. And I don't have to carry around moisture. I had moisturizer in every bag, every room, the bathroom next to my bed. I was constantly moisturizing my body. And because I had sensitive skin, I was buying organic, like bio farming, this, that, the other thing. I was buying the expensive things to put on my skin, which, don't get me wrong, they were lovely. And the people who made them were fantastic people and all of that. But it was costing a lot of money. And if I didn't have it, I was in trouble. I started using urine on my skin and my skin changed. I don't own moisturizer anymore. 12 years later, I don't have moisturizer. I still have like a lip thing that's made out of beeswax, but that's the only thing I have anymore is that. And that was radical for me to just go to switch from being a person who had dry skin to being someone who didn't think about it anymore. After 30 years of thinking about my skin all the time, that was radical.
And the change that this has made to your life. Okay, so you're saying at the beginning, use it topically, put it on your skin, which you did, and you saw a difference. So then, no doubt, you went to the next level and started to consume it, which is slightly different in as much just psychologically, because we are taught or indoctrinated or whatever through various means, media, TV, schooling, that it's a waste product. And your body, and I would think that, I think, well, my body doesn't need it anymore, so it's releasing it. It's full of toxins, it's releasing it. That's how I would think. So why would you put something back in your body that your body doesn't want? Else why would you pee?
So this is one of the biggest things that we have been taught, which just isn't true. And I understand why we've been taught it. There's lots of different reasons. But if we look at the actual function of the organs in the body, and I've looked at medical textbooks, they all say urine waste product. Waste elements are released through urine. They all say that. So I get it. But if you start looking at what the organs are meant to do, the intestine is a waste pathway. It is a pathway that toxins can go through, excess can leave, things that the body has processed go out through the intestine. The liver is a main organ of detoxification. The liver, part of its job is to identify toxins, pull them out, and then decide where they're going to go. Are they going to go into the intestine? Are they going to go somewhere else? The liver makes decisions like that. The kidneys, they will filter toxins if they have to, but that's not their primary function. And the only way a toxin gets to the kidneys is if it's in the blood, because the kidneys, the thing that comes through the kidneys is the blood. It doesn't have access to the bile of your gallbladder. It doesn't have access to the feces in your intestine. The kidney has access to the blood. So whatever's in your blood is what's going to be in your urine. If you have toxic blood, you're going to have toxic urine. If your blood is so toxic that you shouldn't be drinking your urine, you have a problem. Like, then your blood has a problem. You probably have big health problems going on at that point. That's a whole different level of health problem. So on a daily basis, we are told constantly our blood is our life force. Our blood keeps us alive. Our blood is incredibly important, and it is to be cherished and taken care of. And we, collect it and give it to other people who are sick. We're told that our blood is powerful. So why, as soon as it's filtered and comes out as urine, it's suddenly icky? How does the same source material? Our blood is the source material of our urine. What do I mean by that? The urine comes into the kidneys. The kidneys do three things, and I'm not going to remember them now because I normally have a list in front of me, but they filter. Shoot, I might have to pull it up. There's filtration, there's secretion, and there's reabsorption. I might be missing something. But in any case, first, everything gets filtered through nephrons. You may have heard that word. The kidneys are such a highly specific, incredible filtration system. We can't do as good a job with a machine, right? People can go on dialysis for a while, but it's not as good as the kidneys. So this is a highly sophisticated filtration system. And the filtration is not just pulling out things that are not wanted. It's pulling out excess water. One of the main things the kidneys do is they maintain homeostasis in your blood so there's enough water and there are enough minerals and so that it's exactly the right consistency. Think about your favorite drink. It could be orange juice, it could be beer, it could be coffee. If it's too watery, you don't like it. It's wrong. It's off. Same thing with your blood. If your blood has too much water in it, it's off. And so one of the main things the kidneys do is they filter all this water out and then they put a lot of it back in. But what's left over goes into your urine. So it's just excess water. It's not, the water is in your blood. It's not dirty water in your blood. Wow. It's perfectly fine.
Wow.
It filters it out to keep your blood at just the right place. And then it also secretes a few other things. So there's other things that can come out. And then there's also the reabsorption of what it will take back in. Like I said, the water it'll take back in. One of the things that is produced in the kidney that comes out in the urine that is not in your blood, and there may be a few others, but there really aren't that. This may be the only one. I'm not sure about this piece. I'd have to check. Human-derived urine stem cells. There are stem cells that come out in your urine. They're produced in the kidney. They only come out in your urine. That's why they're called human-derived urine stem cells. They've just really been discovered in the last couple decades, and now they're really being developed. One of my biggest questions to anyone who says urine is waste: why would the body put on a daily basis some of the most easily accessible, easily to use stem cells that the body creates anywhere? Some stem cells only want to be one thing. They only want to be heart tissue. If you try to make them become skin, they're not happy. They don't want to be exterior skin, and they won't do it well. They'll cause problems later on down the line. But if you take human urine derived stem cells and you try to make them replicate and multiply, they'll do it. And then if you want to turn them into skin of different parts of the body, they're happy to do it. And they don't create problems down the line. They don't create tumors 20 replications later. So these are some of the most powerful and easy to access stem cells in the body that get created every single day. And they only come out in the urine. Why would the body put all that effort into putting something in urine if urine was waste? The body's logical and it can't lie. So if something that's worth a lot is in the urine can't be useless.
Wow. It sounds like a miracle. I guess it is. Our body is a miracle, isn't it? And from what you're talking about regarding the kidneys, I guess the main thing is we have to look after our organs, the kidneys and the liver, because of the jobs that they do, which we just take for granted. What about people that are on medication? Like you're saying, if people have got toxic blood, or they are poorly, so they're on a lot of it, or they've had other sorts of therapy, chemotherapy, radio, whatever. What about these people and their urine? If they're watching this video and they think, right, I'm going to give it a go, and we'll talk about how to start the process of doing that. I'm sure it's quite simple, but if they have got a lot of toxins in their body through medication, what would you suggest?
So this is a highly debated question, even in the urine therapy community. There are people who report while undergoing chemotherapy or radiation or taking drugs for example, the thyroid, that they have drunk their urine and that it has helped them. That drinking urine during chemotherapy helped them go through it with more ease and less discomfort to the body, fewer reactions, fewer whatever. There's people who say that drinking their urine while on thyroid medication helped them wean off thyroid medication. I cannot tell anybody to do this or not to do this, because I personally have not had chemotherapy. I don't take any medications at the moment. I'm not drinking my urine after, in that situation. And I've had very few clients who have been taking medication on a regular basis. So for me to say that I don't have 20 clients who've done this that I can report on, I can't give anyone that proof. I know that there's people who've written about it in various communities, like the urine therapy communities. So do know that it's worked, but every single person's body is different and unique when it comes to urine therapy. And I repeat that all the time. You said that you had eczema and a few days of applying it didn't seem to make a difference. I hear that. I also hear people who say they put urine on their eczema for a week and it went away and never came back. But that's not to say the urine doesn't work. It's to say the body is so interconnected, multi-layered, and complex that in one person, the urine might help the itch to go away on the skin, but the eczema is actually coming from a problem in the gut. And so that person may have to change something in their diet, or they may need to do a lot of urine enemas and help heal the gut before the skin is going to show the healing. Whereas somebody else, for whatever reason, not that the eczema isn't connected to something deeper, but even that topical application of the urine somehow signaled something in the body to say, you don't need to react like this anymore. You don't need to give me the signal through my skin. And then that took care of it. That particular issue went away. And I see both things happening. And that's why everybody is different. So for one person to say, I'm doing chemo and to drink the urine, they'll have a very different experience than the other person. They just will. And we don't know which experience which person is going to have and why. But I can say if somebody really wanted to look into it, there are places to look. There's places they can research. They can reach out and see if they can find someone who's done it. Because as I say, there are people who say they've done it. It would take a bit of research to get there.
Yeah.
One of the things, though, that underlying your question is how much of a drug or toxin is going to get into the blood and then into the urine. And by the time it's in the urine, does it have the potency it had when it went in your mouth or in your blood? And the answer is generally no. But that, again, is across the board. From person to person, it's going to be different. But for example, when I take something for a headache, which I don't do very often, in the course of a year, I might do it once. I drink my urine later. I don't even think about it. And I feel like the headache medication still wears off in 4 hours. Just because I drink my urine later, for me, it does not extend the effect of what I took for my headache. And we know that drugs, when they go through your body, the same as if we take orange juice again as an example. If you drink orange juice and there's a few pieces of orange juice flesh in your mouth when you drink it, when you pee out, we know that we can detect vitamin C in urine. That vitamin C does not look or taste like it did when it went into your mouth. So what are we able to detect in the urine? We're not detecting the orange juice molecule that you put in your mouth. We're detecting some trace of something which we can identify as being related to the orange, and we're going to call it vitamin C, but it has been processed by your organs. It's gone through your stomach and your stomach acid. It's gone through your liver and potentially gone through part of another system to get back into the blood. So it has been radically changed by the time it comes out through your urine. Any drug that you take is going to be the same thing. They talk about things being conjugated. It's scientific term when they come out. So something starts in one way and it gets shifted around and ends up sort of bonded to something else. So when it comes out in your urine, yes, you can detect it, but it's in a totally different chemical alignment than it was when it went in your mouth. And that's what we see happening with drugs as well. I don't have any studies because no one wants to study people who drink their urine because there's no money in it.
No.
So that's the issue. What I can say is, for example, I've been drinking my urine every day for 12 and a half years. Well, no, 12 years, because it took me 6 months to drink it. That was part of your question. It took me 6 months because I had an ick factor. I had the taboo. I was conditioned. When I did start drinking it, I've just never stopped. I've drunk it every day for 12 years. And I'd be dead if it was dangerous. Like, I just would. My body would not have done well if it was problematic. I've been very lucky to not be on medications or need it very much over the last 12 years. But added to that, we just have so many stories from people who have had every type of health condition you can imagine. They've come off of drugs for chronic conditions they thought they would have to take forever. Antidepressants, ADHD, thyroid medication, I've already mentioned. People have really shifted their lifestyles. They've come off smoking cannabis every day. They've come off of tobacco. So there are things that we consider very addictive, and urine has helped people to find a way to slowly work off of it with the logic of the body. That I can say, I know it's happened, but again, it's how is someone going to do it? And you can't take my word for it. I got, yes, I'm here and I'm sitting here saying it, that I haven't had a problem, but to jump into that is a big step for anyone. So I don't take medication lightly. I don't take health conditions lightly. People need to do their research. There are books, there's resources. Um, I run courses, other people run courses. You can find someone who suits your personality and the kind of information you want. And some people also need herbs or homeopathy or other supports alongside the urine therapy to help them do the thing they want to do for their health. Urine works really synergistically and beautifully with other modalities. So it's not a one or nothing kind of way to work.
Yeah, sure. You've been answering some of my questions. I always make notes when I chat with somebody, Megan, and like my question was a stupid question, but maybe not. No question's stupid. Is it dangerous? And you said no, but some people might think, is it dangerous? Because they believe, that they are ingesting toxins. But we've covered that. I guess it's a growing practice as more and more people become aware of it, or maybe not. Maybe years gone by in a different centuries, ethnic people, indigenous people, the elders, maybe that's a practice that they were doing, and we've been, told not to through our education systems. Maybe it's something that's been going on for a long time and we didn't know about it. I don't know. But what about a couple of things I wanted to ask you. So the hydration factor, I remember seeing a couple of movies or reading books when a plane crashes in the middle of nowhere and there's no water and there's no food, and they start drinking their urine, eventually eating each another. We won't go into cannibalism, but the hydration factor, because I presume it's quite salty. Is it urine? I imagine it's salty. I don't know. But, because you said drink lots of water to become hydrated, if you're consuming your own urine, do you not then want to drink more because you get, more thirsty? Or is that not a factor?
No. The first urine you drink will never be the nicest. And the first urine you work with will never be the nicest because you haven't been doing it. So your body isn't trying to produce the nicest liquid it could possibly produce for you to drink. Everybody finds as soon as they start drinking it, the body, it's like it wakes up and goes, oh, you are going to use this? I've been waiting for you. And then it starts producing nicer urine.
Wow.
So the first one's not going to be the nicest. Now, if you want to make it nicer, there's ways to do that. So even before you drink it, if you're like, I'm a little worried, and don't worry. I know always people say, oh, I can't drink my urine until I clean up my diet. I say, don't do that. Don't wait. Do not. The urine will help you clean up your diet. It'll be much easier to clean up your diet if you're drinking urine than if you're not. Your own willpower by yourself is not as easy. Urine has willpower. So when you start, if you want to make it nicer before you ever drink it, if possible, you could do this any time of day, but you can decide, do you want to drink morning urine, mid-afternoon urine? Totally up to you. Pineapple and papaya will give you really nice urine. Those are used for multiple different things. Some people may know other uses for them and why they're so good, but in any case, those will do it. So if you, the day before, if you had your normal meals for breakfast and lunch, and then for supper, you only had papaya and pineapple, or one of them, whatever one you can get. You don't need to have both, but they're both great. Your urine the next morning is going to be a lot nicer if you had that. If you can take it a step further and you could have nothing but fresh things the day before you want to drink your first urine, it's going to be even nicer. So like if you had, for example, fruit for breakfast, a nice salad for lunch, or a soup, and then again, something really not salty, not strong, not pungent, not spicy, and maybe just kept the whole day to fruits and veggies, just, like a little simplification of your diet for a day, that next day your urine's going to be way nicer. So that would be one way to start. If you're really, really worried about the taste, that could do it, just to get you going. But once you start drinking it, your urine, your body will naturally say, I'm going to make it nicer for you. It's not inherently salty because it depends on what you're eating. And it's not that your body's dumping all the sodium of your body into the urine every day. Your body also needs a lot of sodium in your blood to maintain the electrical charge. So sodium, magnesium, potassium are examples of salts that are in the body naturally, and we produce them endogenously inside the body. I should throw in here, the University of Alberta has a study and a database. It's called the Human Metabolome Database. You can go there yourself. You can look this up. You can filter for urine. They're looking at all different liquids, not just liquids, but cerebral spinal fluid, blood, lymph, feces, urine. They're studying them all. And they're picking up the metabolites. That's their overarching word for chemicals, metals, ions, whatever you want to call it, enzymes. Everything is a metabolite. And they have found over 3,150 endogenous, made by the body, endogenous metabolites in urine. Now, doesn't mean every time you pee that there's 3,000 metabolites in your urine, but there's way more than 50. So your urine is this incredibly complex biofluid. They've even said, the human metabolome people have said, urine may be the most complex biofluid in the body, which says a lot. And that biofluid is not a one-trick pony. If you think about drinking water, now, tap water has chemicals in it. Bottled water, where did it come from? Spring water has stuff that comes out of the earth. So let's bring it back to distilled water. Distilled water has nothing else in it. It's just the water, like the H2O, potentially. Although now we get into structured water. Structured water is a big thing right now for people who are into the health stuff. And structured water is more available to our body to hydrate it. The cells can pick it up more. Now there's also fourth phase water, which is more of a plasma state water, which exists within our body. Some structured water is fourth phase water, or EZ water, exclusion zone water, EZ water. Dr. Gerald Pollack, look him up if you want to know more about that. All this to say, urine is a structured water. And it seems to fit the criteria for a fourth phase water or an exclusion zone water, which means it would be H3O2 and not H2O. And this means that it has an electrical charge and it is more easily absorbed by the cells in your body. What I hear over and over again from people who've done urine therapy for a bit longer, so over a year, more like 2 years, but sometimes it doesn't take very long for someone to feel the difference. I definitely feel the difference. I find when I drink urine, I feel more hydrated than when I drink water. Often if I'm thirsty, I drink a glass of water, I go, well, okay, that was nice, but I want deeper hydration. That was just like just like a surface hydration. I want deep hydration. And I get used to that when I drink the urine. I feel satiated. I feel much more like my thirst is gone. So urine is, again, it's breaking all the molds on what is it as hydration. So it's very hydrating and it's incredibly nourishing. So I would call it deep nourishment and deep hydration. And the nourishment is coming from the fact, like we already mentioned, there's over 3,000 possible metabolites in there. And in those metabolites, again, from the Human Metabolome Database, we see that there are lipids, carbohydrates, and amino acids. What are those words that I just said? Lipids are fats, carbohydrates are sugars, and amino acids are protein building. So we've got proteins, carbohydrates, and fats in the urine. Now, again, teeny tiny amounts. If you think about 95% of your urine is water, 2 to 3% is urea and uric acid, and another 2.5 to 3% is everything else in teeny tiny amounts. So and urine has a calorie count to it, but it's very low. So it's not that you're getting fats in that sense. Like you don't have to worry about shifting, your diet around if you start drinking urine, but you are getting the imprint, you're getting the vibration, you're getting this remembrance. Your body's giving you a small amount of this thing. If we think about homeopathy or about vaccines, what's the point? You give a tiny amount of something which has the echo and the vibration and the DNA imprint of this other thing, and your body knows how to react to that. So when you drink your urine and you potentially have 100, 200, 500, or 1,000 different metabolites in there that are all pinging in your body and giving messages and going, you just made some of this. We need more of that. We need less of that. More hormones, more antibodies, fewer A little bit less on the magnesium and the potassium right now. Thank you very much. We have enough of that, but we'd like more of this over here. So it's a biofeedback loop when you start
Okay.
drinking it
Yeah.
that starts helping your body to go, oh, we just produce that, more of that, less of this.
It's
And so
like
we
a
start,
factory.
it is a factory,
Yeah.
but it's so interconnected with every aspect of who we are. I'm talking physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. People come to you.
Can I
Yeah, go
just
ahead.
ask you, Megan? I hate to interrupt you because I just love what you're saying, but I have to interrupt you about this. Have you heard of a lady called Veda Austin? Has she
Yes.
reached you?
I've
Okay,
followed her work for a long time. And one of the people that I have some interviews with, her name is Fiona Gardner. I would highly recommend people check out Fiona on her own, but I have three interviews with her on my channel.
right.
Veda has been filming a big project and she's been traveling all over the world filming, and she's brought Fiona in as part of her work. So Fiona looks at blood. Her specialty is blood under the microscope, but because of the blood, she got onto the urine and she started looking at urine under the microscope. And what she has found is fascinating.
Mm.
And I actually was I was part of a live uh, masterclass that Veda did last week. And she actually showed the video that Fiona had done of Veda's urine. And
And
so,
I'm sure it was mind blowing. And for those people that
yes.
don't know what we're talking about, it's the consciousness of water, and that's what Veda and Fiona, I guess, have been studying. And some of the evidence based, the petri dishes, or where the water's been frozen, it's just been literally mind blowing, changing the
So
world.
an example that I would love to offer, because I think Veda's work is, it totally aligns with everything I believe about water and urine, because urine is a water of the body. Absolutely. So I think Veda's work is completely it's supporting everything that I've been finding as well. Veda has an example on her Instagram page at the moment of one of the first things that she did with the petri dish, where she just, a petri dish about that big, she puts a certain amount of water in. She put an apple seed in the dish. I don't know if you've seen this one. And then she took the seed out, froze it, and what showed up was the image of an apple, not of the seed. Then she melted the water, she froze it again, an apple. Melted, froze it, third time, again an apple shows up. And if we can wrap our heads around this, the consciousness of water is able to see not just what is in the water, but the potential of it. It sees the seed is going to become an apple. The potential of the seed houses an apple.
Yeah.
If we go back to this idea of the womb, we're in the womb as a little tiny being. We don't look like a human yet. We are in our seed form, and we're surrounded by water that we start to then create with our own body. So the imprint of us goes into our urine, and the imprint of the urine is flowing through our body. So we are completely filled with and emitting our own water that houses our imprint over and over again. And that water understands that our potential is not to be a fetus in the womb. Our potential is to be a fully grown human, full of creativity and ideas and able to change the world. And so I love that example of the apple from Veda, to say our urine is our water of potential. That's why consciousness and awareness is so important when we come to naming urine,
Yeah.
because it can help us to become our most conscious, aware selves, our best version of ourself down the line.
It's not frightening, but it is frightening because it's so incredibly exciting. What the potential of all this that is coming our way for those of us that want to sort of investigate and
Yeah.
practice and just do the work. Another example of Ada, I saw her. She was in the UK recently, and I went to see her
Oh,
her talk, and she had an example of. She put a petri dish in the freezer, and it came out with her hand, just her hand, but her fingernail was broken, but her actual hand didn't have a broken fingernail. I don't know if you know the story,
I
but
do. I
then
know this one.
yeah,
Yeah.
a couple of hours later, the fingernail on her hand broke. So the water is like you're saying, it's telling you the potential. It's telling you what could happen in advance, and I'm just thinking, oh my god, this is massive, this is life changing for
It
everybody.
is.
It's just absolutely phenomenal. So therefore, yeah, taking it back to the urine therapy, the Shivambu, the power that we have within ourselves, for those of us that want to go there. What is the shelf life of urine?
The oldest jar that I have is 5.5 years old.
Wow. Is it like a wine then? Does it grow well? Does it age and get
Yes.
stronger, more potent?
So a lot of us choose the word evolved instead of aged, because in English, especially, when we say something is aged, you can have an aged cheese or an aged wine, but a lot of things we associate aging also with decay.
Yes.
And so we want to get away from the notion of decay. The oldest bottle that I've heard of was a 14-year-old bottle of urine. And that was a practitioner was actually using that with people who were very, very ill and getting extremely potent healing coming from that particular bottle. Now, as people sit there going, what are you talking about? I was kind of with you with the fresh urine, but now you've jumped into a whole other area and this sounds a little woo-woo. Okay. So I started doing this. I did nothing but fresh urine for 5 years. That's what I knew of. I read books. That's what they talked about. They were not talking about aging, except for people who were in crisis. There's a book called The Water of Life by John Armstrong. It's one of the Bibles for people who do urine therapy. This was a man in the UK in the 20s, 30s, 40s. He cured himself of tuberculosis, and he went on to help a lot of other people who had been told by their doctors, go home and die. We can't help you. And then people would say, go see John. Maybe John can help you. And so John just ended up helping a lot of people because nobody else would. And he kept a lot of notes and he put them all together in a book. And he also had to say, none of this is scientifically like provable. I'm just giving you notes on what I did with people. Like I can't claim anything here, but here's what happened. And what he mentioned was aging urine for people who were on death's door. And people would come to him and he would put them generally on a water and urine diet. So they would drink all their own urine and they would drink water. And he had people who would help him massage these people's bodies for hours at a time with their own aged urine. And his criteria for aged urine was 4 days old. Like by day 4, he considered it aged enough to use on people who were on death's door. My interpretation after doing this, I started aging in 2018, in September of 2018. And I drank my first, or maybe it was August, but I didn't drink it till October. So that's why I know it was in that window that I started aging it, because I didn't drink it till it was over a month old. What I understand from what he was doing is that someone who's on death's door doesn't have a month to wait to age it. They don't have 6 months or a year to age it. They need it now. And so he experimented with 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. And finally, by 4 day, at some point he went, okay, 4 days old enough. Let's go with, if we have 4 day old urine, we're going to use 4 day old urine, because he needed it quickly. And then I'm guessing that he would use older urine as he had it. If the person was still living, they would, if they made it, then he would keep using it. And from his stories, most of the people who came to him made it. This is what was so amazing. These people would fast for a month in some cases. Some people it was 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks on water and urine and body rubs of aged urine. And they would be completely cured from whatever it is they'd walked in with. And we're talking everything from gangrene to tuberculosis to cancer, like just the number of different types of things, viral, bacterial. These people were cured. Often when they went
And this is body rubs, but also consuming it as well.
fresh, not the aged. He wasn't
Okay,
having
so
them drink the
the age
aged.
was topical on the
Yep.
body, and the fresh was their own urine.
Yep.
Okay,
And the
so
aged was their urine too, but
oh,
occasionally
okay.
he would talk about if someone was so sick they couldn't pee, like if their body was not producing urine, he would use his urine or someone else's urine to get them started again.
Right, so you can consume somebody else's urine. It might, again, once you've got over that mental
Yep.
block of, oh my God, I'm drinking my own wee or pee. It doesn't really matter, especially if you're on death's door and it's going to
Well, and
help
that's
you.
the thing. Yeah,
Well,
the
what
people
about
are
you?
talking. So the whole point of this is just say to age it, just to come back. So people
Yeah,
are like,
yeah, yeah.
where is this coming from? Aging urine, you put it in a jar. I recommend putting a cloth cover over it. Like I cut up old cotton t-shirts, put that over with an elastic band of some kind, a rubber band, and you let it age so that it has access to the air. The air helps with the aging process. Some people can't do that in their house because of it's an apartment or whatever, wherever they live. You can put a lid on it, but you have to kind of burp it. If you think about fermenting, you have to give it air occasionally. Ideally, even if you put a lid on it and you left it alone for 6 months, it's still okay. It's just going to be really strong when you open it. You're going to get a
Okay.
nose full of ammonia.
Yeah.
So why does it have a shelf life of 5 years or 14 years? When you think about making sauerkraut, for example, you put, or kombucha is a big thing right now. You put everything in for sauerkraut, you stir it all up, you cover it, and then you have to burp it, right? To keep that going. Just because you mix it all up, it's not fermented. It's not sauerkraut 2 days later. It needs time. It's a recipe. It needs some time to do its fermentation. Once it's ready, you can jar it, seal it, and put it in the pantry, and you can keep it for a year, right? Like sauerkraut will last for a long time, but at some point it will rot. And you can see it. The color changes, the smell goes off, and then it will actually rot. What we find with the urine, and why I liken it to fermentation, because it goes through huge chemical processes as it ages, but it doesn't rot. My 5-year-old jar has never rotted. It doesn't have a bad smell. It doesn't have any mold. It hasn't changed. What it's done is become smoother, more mellow in some ways. It smells musky. It doesn't necessarily smell like urine off the top. And when I can just sit there and open it and just breathe in the fumes, and I feel peaceful. If I put a little bit on my body, I feel tingly and energized. If I feel when I've had like a high fever, but it happens every couple of years. But in the last 5 years, I had a high fever, and I took like a teaspoon every hour of this. And every time I did that, I just felt this relaxation go through my body. It is so different from what you can imagine. It has a completely different character, a completely different quality, and the longer it ages, the more it seems to change. When you first start aging urine, a sediment will develop at the bottom and a film will come on the top. Crystals can grow on the outside. There's all sorts of things that happen, and then some people filter it, some people don't. I don't want to give a master class on aging in a chat that we're having, because there's too much involved. And it's also powerful. Fresh urine and aged urine, I want to put them in the same category as any plant medicine that you can imagine. Plant medicine is incredibly beautiful, amazing stuff. It supports our bodies and our well-being. Urine supports our bodies and our well-being. But just like anything, you can overdo it. You can flood the system. You can overwhelm the circuits. It's not that you can't overdo it. Some people start urine therapy and they have a healing crisis and they scare themselves. You can do exactly the same thing with plant medicine. You can scare yourself with it. I always say go slowly, observe what's happening, see how the reactions are going. You can always do more later, but if you do a lot, you can't undo what you did. I had one, you then have to go through it. Like once the healing process has started, you've got to go through it till you get to the end. I've never seen urine therapy overwhelm someone to the point of danger, but they can definitely be in a point of huge discomfort. I had one person, I'm allowed to share her story. She did a whole bunch of things all at once, including something she hadn't done before, which was putting a lot of it through her sinuses, like a sinus rinse. And black mold started coming out of one ear. And it was incredibly painful. And at first, the doctors just thought it was an ear infection, but they actually cultured it and they came back and they said, this is not a bacterial infection in your ear, it's black mold. That's what the doctors actually told her. It took her 9 months to get this black mold out of her system. Now, she's thrilled. Black mold, much better to have it out of your body than in your body. But it was 9 months of daily taking care of the ear and rinsing it, and pain and discomfort and being unsure what was happening with her body. So she's one of my cautionary tales. Maybe there was a way for her to do that more slowly. That was a little more easeful, that wouldn't have been quite so painful.
But we're not saying that it was the urine therapy that created the black mold, are we? No, the black mold
No.
was already there. No, okay, because it might come across as that. The black
Yes,
mold was
absolutely.
there, And she was just speeding up the process where she could have spent 2 years to remove it rather than 9 months. And yeah,
Yeah. No, she knows that she lived in a house with black mold when she was younger. She was pretty sure that this had
gosh,
been in her body for like 40 years.
goodness me. It's amazing. Do you know, Megan, I can't believe we're nearly at the hour. I feel we've only just started.
I
Can I
know.
just, it's amazing. It's fascinating. I do hope people watching this find this fascinating. Let's just end on a couple of things. Firstly, how would you suggest people take it? You talk about like the next morning. So is that what we're doing? You go to bed. Oh, is that what you said? I think, and then you have you go to the bathroom. Then you create a little cup of pee, and then you knock it back, or you hold. You wait for it to cool down. What's the best way to do this?
So you know your body, and you
Mm.
probably have smelled your pee at different times anyway, just by being in the bathroom with it. If you don't want to drink your first morning pee because it looks darker or has a more pungent smell, drink some herbal tea and have it in the afternoon. Have some fruit and have it later. There's no time when you have to do it. Morning urine, for someone who's been practicing, it has so much stuff in it because your body's been cleaning house all night. So we talked about the feedback loop. Your morning urine is going to give you a really great feedback loop, but it doesn't mean you have to start there. Don't force yourself to do something like that. People talk about catching midstream. So if you can let a little bit out first, catch what's in the middle, and then stop before you're completely empty, that's a great way to work with it. I have done both. I usually do that, but I don't always do that. I have had no bad effects from not doing that. I'm not saying to be scared if you forget, but that's a good practice to get into, doing midstream catch. And then I said start slowly. So you might start like homeopathy. Take a drop, stick it under your tongue, and see what happens.
Okay.
And if that's okay, maybe later the day you do another drop under your tongue. Maybe the next day you do 2 drops. Maybe then you go to a drop on the tongue. Maybe you go to a mouthful and you just hold it or swish it. It's fabulous for your gums. My gum recession actually came back. My dentist was very surprised that in my 40s, my gums actually regrew a couple millimeters, which they're not supposed to do. I did not tell them I was drinking my urine. I kept that to myself, but they said, whatever you're doing, keep doing it because it's working. So take a mouthful. Maybe you swallow it. Maybe you don't. Totally up to you. I have one person who's worked with me. I told her about it. She went home the next day. She drank a whole cup of it, and she's drunk a cup of it almost every day ever since.
So you
That
can't
worked for her.
overdose on it. You can't overdose on it. Well, like you're saying, take it slowly, but yeah, take it slowly. But if you think, well, I'm going for this gung ho, and you take like a tumbler, glass, and knock it back, could that be a little bit too much for people?
It could be. Some people, the
Okay.
first time they drink a lot of urine, they get a reaction. And if
Yeah.
they're going to get a reaction, like this one client I had has never had a reaction. That did not cause that in her. But this is why I say I can't promise it. Someone else that I know had been doing dabbling. They'd done a little bit here, a little bit there. One day they decided to drink almost all their urine all day, and they got well, their healing crisis, what looked like a very, very bad cold, sinus infection, headache, sore throat, and it took a week
Right.
because all this mucus started coming out of their head.
Yeah.
Because the urine, let me go back to Shiva in Shivambu. Shiva's the destroyer. Urine goes hunting, and it will pull mucus out of your body faster than anything you've ever experienced. So that's a good thing, but it can be intense. So if you
Yeah.
go, I'm going to drink 3 cups of urine, well, you might have mucus coming out of your nose for the next week, or you might have mucus coming out of your intestine via diarrhea for the next week. Just be aware. Can
Moderate.
you afford to
Yeah.
not be at work?
Yeah. Wow. Can you imagine phoning in and explaining why you're ill?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So moderate. And can you? If some people think they want to do this, but they still don't want to do it because it's
Yep.
scary. Can they mix it with anything? Can they dilute
Yes.
it with? Oh, they can.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Dilute it with water, stick it in your orange juice, put it in your smoothie. Doesn't matter.
Okay. Oh,
If
that's
it
good.
gets
You're
you
just
started,
getting
it
it
gets
in
you
there.
started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And gosh, quite excited about this. And it doesn't smell because I know people that say, "Oh, I know so and so does this urine therapy," and every time I go near her or him, he really smells of urine. It doesn't smell.
Fresh urine fully absorbs into your skin. If your
Okay.
urine smells like your food, then you could smell like if I've drunk coffee and then I rub that urine into my skin, I might smell a little roasty from the coffee. If I've had asparagus, I smell asparagus in my urine,
Yeah.
so I could smell that. But urine in and of itself, if you put it on and you give it time to absorb, it does not smell on the skin. It smells in clothing. Aged urine is a different thing. The other
Yeah.
thing I'll throw out there is that when you start rubbing urine on your skin and you really do it for a long time, at some point your skin, as the largest organ in your body, will detox as well. So some people will notice that there is a smell that they have for a while, and it could be months while they're doing urine therapy, but it's the skin detoxing and you have to get through it.
Yeah.
You will get to the other side of it. The other thing I just wanted to throw in with the thing
Mm.
about if somebody drinks all their urine and they have a healing crisis like diarrhea or a bad cold, that will go away and it will likely never happen again
Yeah.
because the body's doing
But
something.
it's, yeah,
It
what it's
gets worse
supposed to.
before it gets better.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cleared it, but it's done it in one bush fell swoop.
Yeah.
And I haven't even asked about your background, but basically, can you just briefly let
Sure.
people know what your background is and how people can get a hold of you to find out more?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Eastern Canada. I ended up studying theater and German at university, traveled to various places, then did a lot of event management and theater things. Theater and event management go hand in hand. And then I ended up doing a PhD in London, England, actually, on the performance of belief and how people perform beliefs through the body, which links up very well with what I now do. So after doing that, I did more event management and other things and taught at the university, published, all it went in that direction. But then I got with my own body and I started getting interested in holistic healing methods when I was 16 because I had pain in my body. So by the time I found urine therapy, I'd tried over 20 holistic healing methods, and urine, as well as another method, the Dalian method, the self-healing Dalian method, came into my life in the same 2-week period when I was in Vancouver. And those two methods have been the most influential in my life, in my healing, in who I am now, and why I'm so passionate about talking about these things. I can't disentangle them because they're both so powerful, and I've been doing them for the same amount of time. But those two methods came in and really shifted my whole life, and I started wanting to go in that direction. And so now I facilitate the Dalian method and urine therapy primarily. I mean, I also do Reiki and I'm a yoga teacher and things like that, but my primary things are the Dalian method and urine therapy alongside academic research, which I am doing for the uropathyresearch.com. It's the Urine Therapy Research Initiative, and I'm producing research papers on that. A lot of analysis coming from scientific papers, from academia, trying to make links between what we know about urine therapy and the scientific research that exists. But the scientific research that exists, as I said, is not done on people who drink urine. So I'm trying to bring knowledge that exists around how health works and apply that to what we see in people who do urine therapy and make some links. Hopefully that will encourage people who have labs to actually do research on urine in more depth. There will be more articles from me coming out soon, but I can't, the number of things I can write on is always expanding. So there's a lot to do. So my background has taken me through many different iterations to the point where the performance of belief has taken me to this idea with urine that how interesting is it that we believe urine is not good for us and we perform through life as if it is an icky, yucky substance. But when we change our perspective, then we start performing differently. Our beliefs change. And when our beliefs change, we open ourselves to new methods of healing. So to get in touch with me, I'm at expansionhealing.ca. That's a Canadian website. So expansionhealing.ca. I'm on Instagram at Expansion Healing. My YouTube is Expansion Healing Megan McDonald. And I have over 20 videos up. It's interviews with different people or conversations like Karen and I are having. A lot of them are really chatty. You'll hear about, if you listen to some of them, you'll hear about Shakti Mai and the skin on the back of my hand and a few of them. But we cover all sorts of topics that come up for urine therapy practitioners. And I teach courses. I run a monthly membership and I teach yearly courses on urine therapy, how to get into it, how to do it, how to age it, what you're looking for. And one of the biggest things people need is community, because when they start doing this, they usually can't tell their friends and family, and they need someone to talk to about it and other people to help them feel normal. And the people in my community are mostly over 30, ranging up to close to 80. And these are people who've been doing it anywhere from 8 years on and off to 4 years consistently, just got into it. And we have great conversations and we always laugh a lot, because you got to laugh about pee.
What a way to end. You've got to laugh about Pete. I love it. Megan, it's been fascinating. I can't wait to get started. Lose all my friends.
Thank you so much for
um,
inviting me.
no, absolute pleasure. Thank you for all your wisdom, all your knowledge, and yeah, all your stories. It's very, very positive, especially when we're talking about the consciousness of water, which is, yeah, the way we're going. So yeah, many thanks to you, and enjoy the rest of your day over there in Canada. It's yeah, 4 or 5 hours ahead here, so
Yep.
I'll wind off now. And again, many thanks indeed.
Thank you too.